And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. How is Vegas? What did you guys do last night? Did you guys, wait in line to get into a club and then you got bottle service?
No, nothing like that. We have done, we did a little bit of the Strip, just not to disappoint. We did do that.
You're talking about the Las Vegas Strip.
The Las Vegas Strip. Yeah, yes, Eric. Thank you. Good. That's a good call. Thank you. You helped me from myself. You helped protect me from myself there. We did go to the Sphere to see to see the Wizard of Oz on Saturday, and it was absolutely spectacular. It was a fantastic experience. And I was very thankful for it because seeing the Wizard of Oz like that was a totally different kind of experience. It was just remarkable. So that was a lot of fun. Yesterday was much more Summerlin. We're up in Summerlin. That's where my wife is staying now, and we were up here and had a really good time, just kind of hanging out. And I head back to Denver this afternoon. So all is well. It's been a very good trip.
I'm sure the event at the Sphere for the Wizard of Oz was outstanding. The question is, did they show the Wizard of Oz in conjunction with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon?
No, it was a straight rendition, totally remastered. And it's like, I think they spent $100 million in the restoration, in the transformation of the original movie into this technical masterpiece that you see literally on the ceiling all around you. It's a totally immersive affair, and It is it's hard to describe other than, have you ever been in the middle of a tornado? Well, you will have been when you go see this at the Sphere, Toto and Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. It's well worth the investment.
Hey, I want to tell you about Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. On Thursday, Planet Open Box is having an auction for holiday decorations, trees, lights, ornaments, and more. Christmas is coming up fast. Online bidding has started at rollerauction.com. And don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Recently said about RJ Harvey, excuse me if I'm getting the band wrong, he went all Bachman Turner Overdrive. Is that correct, Bruce? You ain't seen nothing yet?
You ain't seen nothing yet. Not a good song, but whatever. But it's from our heyday. I'll give you that.
It was. Well, Payton was right about this for sure. We haven't seen 17 carries by Harvey in a game this season. We haven't seen 6 receptions in a game by Harvey this season. We haven't seen 100 combined yards by Harvey in one single game this season. Is this sustainable for the rest of the regular season and the playoffs?
He was hitting holes. And when you're hitting holes and you're doing it with enthusiasm and energy and purpose, you have a much better chance to have the type of day that he did. It's another Sean Payton calling his shot moment, no question, because we hadn't seen it previous to Las Vegas. Now, obviously, they were facing the type of defense that actually is not, their defense is not bad. They do a lot of deep zones, so they do everything in front of you, which we'll get into because that kind of invites you to dink and dunk and stuff like that. And the Broncos did it extremely well and very effectively because they were able to take a lot of time off the clock with their offense. But it started with their ability to run the ball on first and second down and stay in front of the sticks on third down. Hey, anytime that you are looking at 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 instead of 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8, you are in a much better position to attack the defense that you're playing. And that's something that the Broncos were consistently in that game against the Raiders. And a big reason was RJ Harvey, who I'm not saying it was a coming out for RJ Harvey. He's been pretty good in what he's been asked to do so far this season. But now, Eric, he's being asked to do more. He's being asked to be the bell cow. He's being asked to be the guy that, in the absence of J.K. Dobbins, has got to get the tough yards in the A gaps and the B gaps. He ran hard and with purpose on Sunday, and it was a great start to what we hope is the contributing future of RJ Harvey.
So if the Raiders are not letting anything get behind them, right, which they didn't, if the Broncos, are going to put out a lineup in which Adam Prentice, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and Mercedes Lewis are going to play more snaps than Evan Ingram and Troy Franklin, which was the case, having those guys out there signals run. Not to say Prentice can't gain yards. He did. Not to say Lil Jordan Humphrey can't gain yards. He did. Or Mercedes Lewis, although him gaining yards, that's, wait to see if that happens. I don't think that's why they brought him in. They brought him in to block. But if I would have told you before the game, this is the way the Raiders play defense, these are the guys that are going to get on the field more than Ingram and Franklin, who are really there just as offensive weapons, not necessarily blockers. Could you have predicted this?
I don't know if I would have predicted it, but they were in heavy personnel pretty much the entire game. And there was no reason to spread the field, save for a few times that they did it. I've got it on my chart. I'm not sure exactly what the percentage was, but it was minuscule because they were in heavy packages pretty much the entire game because they were able to basically point where they were coming at and ran there. I mean, they had that kind of success. I think they're 4.6 yards per carry, 4.7 for the game. You'd take that against anybody that you would play in the National Football League. You would take RJ Harvey at 4.4 yards a carry. That's a significant uptick in his ability to contribute. So, they were in heavy personnel. They stayed in heavy personnel. They were I thought that they were, as I said this yesterday, I thought that they were as clinically efficient as I've seen them at any time this season. They knew what they wanted to do. The Raiders knew what they wanted to do, and the Raiders couldn't stop them from doing it.
So is this a foreshadowing of things to come? Are we going to see far more heavy forward in order to establish that run, keep the defense honest, for lack of a better phrase, allowing Knicks to potentially carve up defenses on play action?
It's a great question, and I will defer to Sean Payton, who will always tell us week in and week out
the game plan.
It depends on what you're getting on film from whoever you're playing. And some teams are heavier in man. Some teams are heavier in zone. Some teams are tighter in the box. Some teams are deeper with their shell, and they do different things. So it just all depends. I mean, the week before, Evan Ingram was running, I don't want to say wild, but was wildly effective. He was much more jokerish than we had seen, right? And then all of a sudden he's not as available in the route tree in the game against the Raiders. It's just the nature of the beast defensively and what the defense gives you and what Sean Payton, who calls the plays and calls the offense, is willing to push against the offense.
Well, it's pretty flexible, I would say, by him.
Yes.
Not to say he's an offensive coordinator. You don't look at the defense and say, let's take what they give us. But not only did Payton put together a game plan like that, fortunately, they executed. I want to get into Troy Franklin, who had a great training camp, started the season strong. I think most people would have agreed. This guy looks like he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver right after Cortland Sutton. And now it is Pat Bryant, who seems to be getting more of the number 2 type of snaps on the field and looks and targets on the field? Have we seen a changing of the guard? And do you think that will continue, or is it once again based on the defense that they see?
I think it's based more on the defense that they see. I think it's also based on the trust factor for Bryant, who is a tough guy. He's available every game. He's played through injuries, and he's a very consistent pair of hands. Troy Franklin he's a guy that can do a lot of things in the route tree. His hands aren't as sure as Pat Bryant, I would say that, but you can still get him down the field and you can get him into seams with his speed. The big question for me is going to be, and I thought it was interesting in listening to Sean yesterday, in the urgency, maybe the wrong word, but in the desire to reestablish Marvin Mims in the offense. How is that going to look? Is it going to look a lot like it did in the last 4 or 5 weeks last year when he was scoring multiple touchdowns in Cincinnati and really making plays? I'm not quite sure how he wants to do that, but it is obviously he wants that speed in the lineup, which would indicate good things for Troy Franklin too. You can't have enough speed down the middle of the field where you contest a defense. We didn't see it, obviously, in the game against the Raiders. They were taking that away. Fine, you do other things. I think Troy Franklin is still probably number 2, but I think Bryant is probably 2.5 right now, or 3+, whatever, however you want to put it, because he is an option that obviously Bo Nix and Sean Payton have trust in.
I think this particular game, dinking and dunking their way down the field, no pass over 15 yards, looking at the Raiders play defense. I think what this game put on tape for the next 4 regular season games for the teams they're going to face and in the playoffs is this: feel free to play us how you want to. We have the personnel to beat you at your game.
Wasn't this kind of a theme for you at the end of last season? I mean, we've always talked about the Nuggets. Like the Nuggets in their championship season were hey, you want to defend us? We'll still shoot the ball. You want to try to take away the break? Well, guess what? We're taking the ball off the glass and we're running the other way and we're scoring in transition, right? We'll play however way you want to play.
Correct.
There is a little bit more of a feel now with the confidence that he has in the diversity and the depth of his weapons, that he can do some different things. So I will give you that. Will we see that in the next 4 weeks? I think, to me, one of the most interesting facets of playing these 4 teams the way that they are at the end of the season is to see what Sean does with the offense. He's had the offense kind of at this level here for the last few weeks. Now can they take that next little bump up in efficiency and ability and consistency? And can they be a little more dynamic? I think that's going to be the challenge for him moving forward, because if they can take that step, then all of a sudden the Broncos look like an even better team for the postseason because it's a more well-rounded, diversified kind of thing.
I want to take a hard right turn. You and I spoke about this on the phone a little bit yesterday. I'm not trying to shoehorn one of my teams into this show, but I think that I think it's worth talking about. When Colorado hired Deion Sanders, he was a home run hire on so many different levels, and you can make the case that he still is. He has done so many things for the university. The wins and losses have not been there in 2 of the 3 years. But does the hiring of Curt Cignetti, the head coach of Indiana, who has won everywhere that he has been, and then, I don't know, he goes to Indiana, and it is the greatest turnaround in college football history. You and I are very partial to Bill Snyder. Bill Snyder is now firmly entrenched as number 2, the second greatest turnaround in the history of college football. Cignetti is now number 1. Does the hiring of Cignetti, not ballyhooed, not a big talker, I mean, he has some pretty good zingers as one-liners, and just to refresh everybody's memory, he was asked by a reporter at his opening press conference when he was introduced as the head coach of Indiana. And the question was basically, how are you going to recruit? How are you going to bring in guys from the transfer portal when Indiana historically is the worst team in college football ever when it comes to win-loss percentage? And he had a Deion Sanders line, which was awesome, because sometimes Deion has had lines, for as much as we have been critical at times of him, Deion has said things were like, dude, that was a really good comeback. But for Cignetti, his was a mic drop moment like I've never heard. So when asked about how are you going to bring guys here when the program has been so bad, Cignetti said, I win. Google me. And all you have to do is Google him and see his winning percentage. He has won 75% of the games he has coached, including in Indiana. I think my whole point in this long-winded question is this. Does the hiring of Cignetti make and I'm talking about performance on the field only, does the hiring of Cignetti make the Deion Sanders hire look a little bad? Even though Cignetti is a unicorn, and I get it, because let's be honest here, even though they were not hired in the same cycle, talking about Cignetti and Sanders was hired first. The following year, Cignetti went to Indiana.
Right.
Sanders, I'm sorry, is far more sizzle than steak when you look at on-field performance. Cignetti is just a curmudgeonly type of guy, sharp with his tongue, always looks angry. When you look at those two guys, one guy is all steak, and I'm sorry, Deion Sanders is mostly sizzle. When you look at 2 of those 3 years, and I understand in the first year they're coming off a 1-win season. Then they won 4. Then we saw what happened last year, but the trap door opened on them this year, and in some ways in embarrassing fashion.
Look,
coaching matters. How's
21.
That? Coaching,
well, of course
matters.
It does,
because Cignetti has done it with 3-star recruits, not Louis Samsonite, has done it with Samsonite and a bunch of James Madison transfers. In the Big Ten, by the way, not the Big 12.
Well, when you take and look, you used the term correctly. He is a unicorn. He is a one-off. There are plenty of coaches that make a jump from a James Madison or something like that to go into the big time and that fail miserably. But Cignetti is not one of those guys. He is a guy that if you Google him, he's backing up what he says. When you win 75% of your games, your record speaks for itself. And the manner in which you accrue that record speaks for itself. I believe my math is right. When we look at what we've done at CU the last 3 years, I think Deion's 16-21 in 3 years. So first of all, you're starting from totally different places. Now you have to ask yourself, okay, what is the pattern that Curt Cignetti has laid down at the University of Indiana that has allowed him to do this? Well, first of all, he's damn good at what he does. But he is a program builder, and he builds in the old-fashioned way. He builds with good characters, good players, but not players that of a high level that you would say, oh man, we're getting 5 stars in here. He plays with those guys that are very good players, but didn't get a lot of recruiting adulation. And then you build culture, because you build from the base up. He's done a very good job. He's only been there 2 years, but he's done a really good job building the foundation of the program. And so to me, that's a guy that's done the sweat equity, and he's focused the right way in building a program. It remains to be seen how Deion Sanders does in his 4th year. I think by his 3rd year, most of us were hoping that this thing would be a really consistent winning program, one that gave Colorado a chance each year to be in the college football playoff. That is a reasonable goal for the University of Colorado. They're in the Big 12, right? Right now, you've got Texas Tech and Brigham Young at the top of the pecking order in the Big 12. They're playoff types of teams. Now, Texas Tech is there this year. Last year, they had Arizona State was in there. So they had a couple of teams in there. So you can get to the college football playoff by being at the top of the rung in the Big 12. Well, Colorado in their 3rd year is coming off a 1-8 season in the Big 12. The lack of success and continuity speaks for itself. They had a 9-win season in year 2, and they back it up with a 3-win season in year 3, which tells me that whatever you're doing is not working. And I think Deion even knows that. When he's talking about, hey, if it's the last thing that I do on earth, I'm going to get this thing turned around. Okay, I think you got 1 more year to do it. I mean, I really do. There are enough changes going on now at Colorado that, I mean, I think that there's urgency. And I think if there isn't really significant progress by this program next year, I think that you have a real situation where you have to figure out whether you want to move forward with Deion Sanders.
I think what Cignetti has proven in a short amount of time, and I'm not saying it is sustainable, you don't need 4-star recruits to win, and you sure as hell don't need 5-star because those guys aren't going to Indiana. I think Indiana has 2 to 4 4-star recruits in their upcoming class. Think about that for a second. And they have lost 2 games over the last 2 years, and one of them just happened to be in the playoff against Notre Dame. That's what this guy has proven.
Yeah,
everyone keeps talking about NIL, how we don't have enough money, and Cignetti has shown he can bring in a decent quarterback from Cal and turn him into the lead favorite to win the Heisman. He is a unicorn just by that metric alone. Every team is trying to find money to bring in 5-star recruits and 4-star recruits. And Cignetti is saying, I'll take whatever you want to give me, and we'll just keep winning games. I don't think any coach in the country
his win at Oregon
all coaches
this
do is
year.
complain. He doesn't.
No,
I
don't think so either.
He is the ultimate example of, I don't want to hear about the labor pains. All I want to do is see the baby. I don't want to hear how hard it is to get NIL money and to bring in all these top recruits, because I'm going to win with the guys I put on the field against all your 4 or 5-star recruits anyway. Look what happened against Ohio State. Look what happened against Oregon on the road. Look at what happened against Penn State, right? And so now I look at what's going on at Colorado, and it's how many 4-star recruits are they going to get? How many 5-star recruits are they going to get? Are we overvaluing getting 4 and 5-star recruits, or is it just as much about coaching?
Oh, I think you've got to be able to identify guys that you can win with, and he obviously has a very good understanding with the system that he is going to run, the types of players that he needs for it, not only from the standpoint of being able to execute the systems, both offensively and defensively, but to do it in a manner in which they are good teammates, play for one another, play for
culture.
You
mean
the
culture.
name on the jersey. The it is culture.
Wait a minute.
Culture.
Wait a minute. Deion doesn't believe in culture.
Well, I mean, that's something that he has to deal with in his own way when he's looking in the mirror and doing this self-scout to move forward. I mean, if Deion Sanders is a smart guy, and I believe him to be a smart guy, I think that he probably takes a long look at things and says, we better do things differently. The definition of stupidity is continuing to do the same things that don't work over and over again, right? So you better change the way that you operate on the most basic of levels, and then see what happens. I'm going to say this because I really, you and I talked about it at the time that Indiana went to Eugene to play Oregon, and people, I don't think, appreciate how difficult it is to win at Oregon. We go to the big house and we go to the shoe. Everyone thinks about winning at Penn State or winning someplace in the SEC, and I get it. They're all very difficult to play in. Oregon is a different kind of creature. You got to travel all the way out to the West Coast. It's the one rabid hotbed of football on the West Coast. USC, fine. Washington, yeah, good, but not like Oregon.
Correct.
Oregon is a different kind of creature. And the way that Indiana played hard-nosed, tough, unyielding football, I walked away from that game saying, okay, we got a problem. Indiana is not just a team that can kick your ass. Right. I think it's a team that can win the national championship. And by the way, nothing has happened since then that would take me off of that. They are unbelievable defensively, Mendoza heater, but he's a great leader. They've got pieces of the puzzle. They're good on special teams. All of the things that you need to be to win a national championship, Indiana has it. Not saying they're going to do it, but I'm not sure that I would bet on someone else over Indiana to be my favorite in it.
Coming up after the break, we know who the top two teams are in the AFC right now. And it looks like the Colts, who are number 3, are in big trouble. Or are they? Are they about to play the best quarterback in the division moving forward? Now, in the AFC, I should say, moving forward. At least historically, that could be the case. A guy that Denver has hated for years could be coming back to take down the Broncos in the playoffs. That's next.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Philip Rivers is about to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. Today, he is going to make a decision, or maybe the Colts are going to make a decision, on whether Rivers has to wait 5 more years. Daniel Jones is out for the season with a torn Achilles, and Philip Rivers is going to be in Indianapolis today working out. And if the Colts like what they see and Rivers likes what he sees and he hears, he is going to be going to the practice squad and potentially playing for the Colts the rest of the season, which is something. He hasn't played in over 4 years. He turned 44 yesterday, and it's clearly a desperation move.
Yep.
But is this potentially a smart move?
Well, it's smart in that he would be the best quarterback in the building. So even at the age of 44 and 4 years removed from playing, he would be the best quarterback in the building. So
best eligible quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Well said. The Colts are in free fall right now. Their schedule is very difficult down the stretch. They are holding on by the skin of their teeth, but may be all the way out of this thing. So if you're going to be desperate, now is the time to do it. And if you're going to be desperate, at least a guy that is somewhat familiar with the whole, coming through the door and the system and whatever he needs to know in Indianapolis, ask him to hand the ball off and then try to throw from the pocket. I mean, I don't know what kind of arm Philip Rivers has right now, but I know
what kind
one
of shape
thing,
he's in.
I have no idea what kind of shape he's in, but I know one thing. That's a competitive SOB. And that dude is the most trash-talking, dadgummit trash-talking guy I've ever seen in my life. I loved the kind of crap that he and Von Miller engaged in the times that they were facing each other in this division. He's a capable guy, but was he capable 3 or 4 years ago? And can he be capable now? I don't know the answer to that, but he's a better possibility than what they have in the building right now that they can use.
It's funny when people ask me, am I a fan of a team? I'm not a fan of any team anymore. I've just been doing this, honestly, way too long. I'm an Indiana fan because I went to school there, right? I root for people. I root for people. Like, am I a Broncos fan? I'm not a fan of any team, but if I'm a fan of any team, it's going to be the Broncos because I know people in the organization. I want them to win. That's number one to me. Number two, I root for the best story. If for some reason the Broncos get knocked out, I don't see, I'll say it from my perspective. If the Broncos get knocked out somewhere in the playoffs and the Colts are alive, oh my God, the Colts are my team. And I can't even imagine how many people around the country will root for this story with Philip Rivers. Now, I'm not making an apples to apples comparison here, but when Kurt Warner was playing for the Rams, that had a Disney movie written all over it. And it became, ironically, a Disney movie. If Phillip Rivers wins a Super Bowl, this is right up there with let's put together a treatment and let's get this on screen. Don't you think?
Yes, it certainly would be. I think the odds of that happening are incredibly long, which makes the story that way, right? I mean,
I'll ask you, if we go back in time, which seems more unlikely to you, not knowing obviously one of the answers? A guy who played for the Iowa Barnstormers in the Arena League, who is packing groceries at the Hy-Vee in Iowa, winning a Super Bowl, or a guy who retired 4+ years ago, coaching high school football, coming back at the age of 44 and winning a Super Bowl? What seems more unlikely, even though you already have one of the answers?
I think a guy, both of them are highly unlikely.
Right, but if you had to pick one, which one is more unlikely? Both would be great movies, and one movie has already been made. And by the way, it's a pretty good movie.
Is it a good movie?
The Kurt Warner Stories is a pretty good movie. It's not a movie that's going to win any Academy Awards.
Right.
Have like best actor nominee, but it's
just a feel good. Right. It's a feel good. I think it would be Phillip Rivers 4 years after playing. He hadn't played it down, even though we know that he's got a borderline Hall of Fame career or a Hall of Fame career, but for him to come out and shake off the mothballs and play 4 years later and lead it and basically play for the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season and then a playoff run. If that were to happen, that would be unbelievable.
Okay. With that, I want to move to Notre Dame. Still a story. People still talking about it. Didn't make the playoff. Let's not go into should they have played in a bowl game. A lot of teams aren't playing in bowl games. But Kansas State's not playing in a bowl game because they just don't want to. Notre Dame is not playing in a bowl game out of spite as much. Yeah. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and the flip that they're giving the ACC right now is real. I think that they felt very I thought that they were blamed a lot. I think that they felt that they were being blamed for issues in the ACC, and they took a lot of shots from their brethren in the ACC, which of course they play in other than football. Right. So I'll be interested to see how that relationship evolves now, moving forward. But yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's not in the playoff. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again today. I'm not losing any sleep about Notre Dame being in the playoff. Not just because it's Notre Dame, but because it's the human element. I think that we're always going to have these arguments. If it's not Notre Dame, then it's maybe next time it's USC or it's, fill in the blank. I mean, I don't know who it will be, but there will always be arguments like this on the back end of the field. And this is the back end of the field argument.
I think the best argument I heard about, Notre Dame not getting in and Miami getting in, although for a lot of Notre Dame fans, it's more about Alabama than it is Miami.
Sure.
But this is the best line I heard. This came from Robert on X. Notre Dame being confused why the ACC didn't promote them over Miami is like the side chick being confused why her man spends the holidays with his wife and kids. Of course, they're going to be promoting Miami because Miami is all in. Notre Dame is not all in. With that, ask any Notre Dame fan, and Notre Dame is the #1 university in the country. They're the premier college football program in the country, past and present. Do you agree? Are they the flagship of college football?
I don't think they're the flagship of college football. But they're certainly one of the legacy programs that yes. I mean, I give Notre Dame their due, right? I mean, Newt Rockne, play like a champion, Gold Dome, touchdown.
You mean like
Jesus,
in the
all of the things
30s?
that go with
You mean like in
it.
the 30s and 40s? Listen, Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is part of it? When it comes to television ratings, when you look at all the college football teams, Notre Dame checks in at number 14 this year. They were the 14th most watched team this season. That's not even top 10. And to put this into perspective for you, okay, I'm going to go to, because I did the research on this yesterday. When Notre Dame played NC State, that game did not finish top 25 that week in the ratings. But you know who did? Louisiana Tech against James Madison. Got more eyeballs than Notre Dame against NC State. When Notre Dame played Boise, that didn't finish in the top 25. But you know who did finish in the top 25? Texas State against Arkansas State. Notre Dame isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
Yes, they competed for a national title last year, made to the final. Yes, beat Indiana. They've always been very good. They haven't won a title in 38 years. Stop it. Go win some titles. Fine, I'll listen to you. But if you haven't won since I've been in college, and that was 1988, don't tell me how great you are. Yes, you have the NBC contract. They are paying you a lot of money. Talking about NBC's paying Notre Dame a lot of money. My question is, are they really seeing that return on investment? Because if you're finishing 14th overall in television ratings, I would say you're not what you think you are.
Well, yeah, we would have to ask NBC whether or not they're getting a return on their investment. But I would say this about Notre Dame. I think that when you talk about, if we're sitting having a beer at Sportsbook Bar and Grill, and you're waiting on your, Philly cheesesteak egg rolls,
right?
And we're talking about, okay, give me the top 10 programs in college football history, and let's say that I say it that way.
Yeah,
Notre Dame is probably on that list, right? I mean, they're on that list, right? I mean, yeah, there's a select group of programs that fit that bill. I will never argue that. Their relevance in the game right now is different than it was 25 years ago. Lou Holtz, I mean, before that, Ara Parseghian, and, Dan Devine, but they are still a very relevant program. There's no question.
My issue is they act like it's them and everybody else, and it's not even close to that. Alabama would like to have a word. So would Georgia. So would most teams in the SEC. So would Ohio State. So would Michigan. They act as if everybody needs to kowtow to them. And you know what? They don't. The college football playoff is going to be just fine without Notre Dame. Outside of Notre Dame fans, I don't think people are saying, boy, the playoff would be a lot better if Notre Dame was in it. Nobody's saying that. Notre Dame fans are, but nobody else is. And quite frankly, I think people are tired of the arrogance of Notre Dame. And full disclosure here, I grew up in Chicago. I grew up a Notre Dame fan. My dad would take me to games every year. We would drive to South Bend. I loved Notre Dame, but their arrogance is just so suffocating that it's like, you know what? Don't need you.
I defer to you on that as an Indiana guy. I don't feel that. I mean, I just,
you don't feel
Notre
what?
Dame to me is, well, I mean, I just don't, my attitude on Notre Dame is it's a good football program.
Right.
That's my attitude. Right. That's where I'm at with Notre Dame. They're capable of being in the hunt every single year. They're one of those programs that you would expect to be in the mix every single year for this type of discussion that we're having. They happen to not get in this year. Hell, Florida State had an unbeaten season a couple years ago, didn't get in either. I mean, there's all kinds of arguments about teams that may have been wronged or perceived themselves to have been slighted. it happened to Notre Dame. It happens to everybody. You know what? You do this long enough, you're going to end up feeling screwed at some point, and that's where they are right now. So, okay.
Yeah, but Florida State didn't act like you
No.
did this to us. You did this to us. And that's how Notre Dame fans are right now. You did this to us. You can't do this to us. And they're out.
Wow.
Well, it's true. Well, it's true.
I mean, I hear you. Yeah, I don't dislike the program at Notre Dame.
I don't dislike the program either. I
love their head coach. I mean, I really do. I like their program. It's just not a big deal to me. To me, it's like, what is the big brouhaha that we're having right now? I can make an argument for Alabama over Notre Dame. I mean, check the schedule, the quality of wins, all of those things. I mean, you've got to have some metrics right now. And I know everyone will scream SEC bias. I think there's 5 teams in from the SEC this year. I mean,
I'll give you a school that no one has talked about that has a stronger case than Notre Dame. Vanderbilt. Same record.
Yeah.
Tougher schedule. And quite frankly, a better story.
And they have a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Correct. Vanderbilt has a gripe over has a gripe over Notre Dame. I would have loved to have seen Vanderbilt play Notre Dame. 11-2. Great quarterback. They played a stretch in which they played 4 top 25 teams in a row. Notre Dame didn't play 4 top 25 teams all season.
Yeah, right. They did.
And if you want to count Pitt in that, because they were ranked 22nd when they played the game, where is Pitt now? They're not in the top 25, are they?
No. Right. So
Notre Dame gets to pick their schedule. And oh, by the way, if Notre Dame is looking for any more advantages, if I read it correctly, you see how many road games they have next year? 3. Well done. That's a good way to stack some wins, isn't it?
Well, I mean, stacking wins in and of themselves is not going to do it when you've lost 2 games like they did early in the season. And they were swimming upstream all year long. And the problem for Notre Dame was they really had USC on the schedule, and that was it. I mean, after they lost the 2 games early, they basically had USC left. That's it. And they were hoping that Pitt was going to be a team in the ACC, ironically enough, that was going to rise to that level of a good win. Well, it ends up not being necessarily a good win. Look, I think Notre Dame is really good. They've got a running back that I would love to have. Yeah. I mean, they are. But they're just, I mean, to me, they're a fringe team, which is exactly where they ended up, as a fringe team in conversation for the CFP.
Vanderbilt's head coach handled it beautifully. Said to the media, we had our chance. We just didn't do enough. We should have won the other 2 games that we lost. Then there wouldn't be an argument. Then we would be in the playoff. As opposed to Notre Dame, they never came out and said, do you hear anybody from Notre Dame say, we could have done more, should have beaten Miami, should have beaten A&M. I know those are 2 really good teams.
They are good teams, right?
Then again, Vanderbilt lost to 2 teams ranked in the top 25. Vanderbilt handled it like an adult, and Notre Dame has handled it like a screaming toddler lying on their stomach, banging their hands and their feet on the ground, saying, we got screwed, we got wronged, let's go after the playoff committee, let's go after the ACC, let's tell everybody on how they wronged us. How about win one of those other games? You were on the field, conditions were the same, and you lost. How about take some accountability for those young men as a coach and as an athletic director and say, you know what, we could have done more. Florida State was undefeated, right? When they got screwed, they couldn't have done anything more. That's not a phrase you should have heard out of the head coach of Florida State or the athletic director. Problem is their quarterback got injured so late in the season, we knew they weren't going to be very competitive. But Notre Dame handled this like a child. And if you want to leave the ACC, go ahead. It's not like you're really there anyway. They only wanted you for football. You think they were dying to have you for men's basketball? When's the last time Notre Dame was relevant in men's basketball? Have they been? Their women's basketball team has always
women's
been
basketball is good.
Under Muffet McGraw.
Right.
But instead of showing these young men how to handle this, we could have done more. Where's our accountability in this? They just started pointing fingers at everyone. And you know what I hope happens? Even though the Big Ten has been begging Notre Dame to join the Big Ten for years, I hope nobody takes them. I hope they leave the ACC, and I hope nobody takes them. And then they're going to slowly sink to the bottom of the ocean because no one's going to schedule them. Because when you look at the major conferences, those schools have their hands full with the teams in their own conference, and they don't want to schedule somebody difficult moving forward. Let's see how powerful you are in the world of the ever-changing landscape of college football, where nobody wants to play you because we know you're good, but we could suffer a loss to you as much as we can suffer a loss to the fourth or fifth best team in our own conference. We don't want to do that to ourselves. Could you imagine if conferences said, no, we don't want you. We're good. We're good. And honestly, if the Big Ten or the SEC start to sniff around on Notre Dame, hold firm. Don't give them anything. Force them to stay independent. We're not going to give you any extra money. We're not going to give you any breaks. You want to join us, you're joining one of the top two conferences in the country. That should be reason enough to want to come. If you want to puff out your chest and think you're all that, good luck scheduling moving down the road. Now, granted, with schedules, those are way out. I mean, Notre Dame has games scheduled against Alabama, in like 3-4 years, and some other good teams. At the end of the day, Notre Dame thinks it holds all the cards. The truth is, I don't want to use the word. I don't want to use the word collusion. Oh, but the Big Ten and the SEC could not necessarily get together, but they could have conversations among themselves as a conference and say, we don't need to schedule Notre Dame. Good luck. SEC, we don't need to schedule Notre Dame. Good luck. Who are they going to play? Who are they going to play? The ACC? Who are they going to play? The AAC? And how good is their strength of schedule going to be? They already got a fucking break being now next year if they're a top 12 team. They already got a free pass. And they're still bitching? Come on.
I think Notre Dame has to be in a conference at some point. They may go kicking and screaming. They won't go with a contract from NBC because no conference is going to allow that. Because when Notre Dame goes into a Big Ten or an SEC, if that's where they're going into very comparable programs that don't need Notre Dame to exist and thrive. They just don't. So it's an interesting time. And I mean, I guess you got UConn out there still independent, right? I mean, I don't know how many times you can schedule UConn, but at this particular point, I would think that at Notre Dame would be looking for a partner. The model that they have right now is not a sustainable model, I think, even and for reasons that you just touched upon. But don't tell me that Notre Dame can be that much better off having NBC money exclusively than what they would get in terms of their share in the SEC and the Big Ten. Maybe I'm just totally wrong. It's probably more, but how much do you need at this point? You need competitive balance for your football program. You don't need to be playing, and I'm not even going to diss, just go ahead and look at their schedule and who they play. Yes, they play good people early. They lost to those people early. They had their chances. They lost to the best team in the ACC, and they lost to the best team, one of the best teams in the SEC. That's kind of the end of the conversation. Sorry.
I'll add one more thing to the list. When the Big 8 became the Big 12. You know, the big dog in the room was Texas, right? And what did Texas say? Yeah, if you want us in your conference, you're not touching any of our money for the Longhorn Network.
Exactly.
Okay. Longhorn Network isn't around. Texas found out in a hurry the SEC is boss, not Texas. Texas is a storied program. They haven't won as many national championships as, say, Michigan or Notre Dame, and I get it. But Texas football is still Texas football. No. It is a big deal.
Oh,
and
yes.
And you're in one of the biggest states in the union with tons of great recruits. Everybody wants Texas in their conference just for reason alone. You get seen in Texas to get more recruits. That's just one benefit. Even Texas bowed at the knee of the SEC in order to join that conference. Got news for you, Notre Dame. Okay. You're not Texas. When it comes to all sports, you're not Texas. Academically, Texas is just as good as Notre Dame as well. Okay.
Good school.
When I look at college football, I look at the Blue Bloods. Texas is there. Even Texas had to say, well, we got to make some concessions. Notre Dame doesn't want to do that. Well, then good luck. Let's see how it works out for you. That's it.
All right.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.